Good evening, everyone. I am Believeland Media high school sports reporter and host of the Guardians of the CLE podcast, Mel Kirby, here with a special Believeland Prep interview episode with legendary Medina Bees girls basketball head coach Karen Kase ahead of their showdown with Brunswick tomorrow night. Karen, thank you once again for taking the time. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me, Melanie. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So just a little background on your team. So you finished, I think, 17-8 last season, but only returning 3 starters. And that's kind of been a trend over the years. How is your program able to find so much success replacing that graduated talent?
Yeah, we've been a pretty solid program for a number of years now, and it's been great, but it's been a lot of hard work and effort. And that goes from the coaches for sure, but also the players are number one there and their families to kind of buy in and do all the things a little bit all year round to make sure that we stay that way. But we also like girls that play multiple sports and do other things, but we need to be able to communicate and make it work. And the other thing I'll say is that we have had a really strong alumni presence. After they graduate, they're still kind of involved and they love coming back and giving tips and just still being around and making an impact, even though they've moved on to whatever comes next for them. And I think that tradition definitely gets passed down and it helps keep us strong and keep us looking ahead too.
Speaking of that alumni presence, you happen to be one as well. You know, you're able to
true.
Coach at the school you graduated from. You recently became the winningest coach in Medina girls basketball history, which I think I read you actually passed 2 of the coaches you played for.
I did. Yeah. I played for Medina in the mid 90s, and we were a really strong program then too. We went to regionals my sophomore year, and I just had a really great experience playing basketball in high school. And then I played soccer and softball too, and I played soccer in college. But then my career as an adult was in the NBA and the WNBA as a front office person, mostly with PR and marketing. But when I moved home, I wanted to get involved in the coaching aspect. And I was able to do that at my alma mater. And it is a really special thing to be able to do that at a place you grew up and learned, all these life lessons. And now you're kind of passing those things on, but building your program from an adult coaching perspective too. And it's been just really awesome and gratifying and special.
Yeah, it's the first high school game I covered was actually at Rocky River, my alma mater. And the coach is in his first season. He's a Rocky River alumni. And it was just super cool to see the community response to just kind of stepping up and supporting their alumni. And I imagine you probably get the same feel in a city like Medina as well.
Yeah, I grew up here, then I moved away, and then I came back. My parents and my brothers are still in the area. So there's a lot of people that, know me now, but knew me back then and just are trying to stay up on what's happening and are following along on our teams and things like that. And I passed John Semenek and Dale Wyatt, who were both of my high school coaches, to become the leading winningest coach. And that number is whatever it is, but the fact that I passed them along with some others that have helped me along the way is pretty special.
That's so cool. And we mentioned those 3 returning starters, one of those being Olivia Klanek, just a sophomore, already gaining interest from college programs. I mean, last year, highly regarded as one of the top freshmen in the area, averaging 12.5 points a game. Can you kind of talk about what she means to your team and to your program?
Sure. Yeah, she had a great freshman year last year. She's quite a player. She's able to do a lot of different things and she's versatile, but she's a scorer, first of all. And she did that right away last year for us, even though she didn't know, varsity level or schedule or routine or things like that. Even if you're playing at a high level AAU team or schedule, it still is a little bit different playing for your school and a conference and scouting and film and preparing for opponents a couple times a week is a lot different than playing on the weekends. And there's pluses and minuses to both sides. But she came out of the gates right away last year and had some really strong performances. And then I would say over spring and summer, just really matured as a player and stepped up and was ready to take on a lot more as a sophomore because she knew the routine and she was more comfortable or familiar with teammates and things like that. So she still is a scorer. Obviously, she's a great scorer. She can shoot, she can drive. She is a good distributor of the ball and has a very high basketball IQ, but also she's a great defender. She's a great on-ball defender and anticipates. And I think that's an aspect that people maybe don't see right away or realize. And I think that's an aspect that she might not even realize as much yet either, but she's a very strong defender as well.
It's very cool to see such a young player be such a well-rounded player, especially in a program like yours that's known for kind of placing an emphasis on defense. And how do you feel about your defense so far this season? And how important is that going to be in this matchup against Brunswick tomorrow?
I'm glad you're asking me that question now instead of last week because I feel a lot better now. I always want to lead with defense and rebounding. That's kind of how I played as a player and what our emphasis was on when I was in high school. And I think that's a more of a controllable aspect of it. Maybe your shots aren't going to fall or the refs aren't going to make this call or that call, but the defense and the rebounding are things you can always rely on and control by your effort and your hunger and your desire and your teamwork. So we're a program that does lead with that. And we have traditionally tried to mix up our defenses throughout the game and things like that and do a couple different things. But man-to-man is always going to be our basis. And we did a heck of a job this past weekend against Strongsville, another conference rival. And it was really great to see the team kind of buy into that and really turn a corner and play awesome individual defense and team defense in the right positioning, shutting some people down, communicating, and just really following the defensive game plan really, really well. They did great.
And probably true for you guys as well. Good defense has a tendency to help your offense as well. If you can kind of get out, get numbers, and get some quick scoring opportunities.
Yeah, we talk about that every day, that defense creates opportunities, rebounding starts our break, and all those things are the beginning of our offense. We want to be able to run in transition, but also play some half-court offense as well. But the defensive stops or putting the pressure on and things like that really is what kickstarts our offense.
Definitely. So you're 7-0 this season, ranked in almost all publications. How do you help the girls kind of manage these expectations and not get too high or too low?
Right. It's been a fantastic start, and we've had a couple really big wins, a couple wins that maybe we got away with some stuff, and it's early in the year, so that happens. But we play a tough schedule every single year, and in the summer we try to play different styles and good opponents and things like that, even though it's a lot different in the summer. But it's been an awesome start, and they really have started to become a great practice team. And last week they prepared so well, and that goes along with the defense that we just talked about. But they really kind of started to lock in, and that's with film and scouting and just the drills we're doing in practice and the scrimmaging we're doing in practice. So I think all of that adds up. And it's been a really awesome start, but we're not satisfied in saying, okay, that's good enough. That was a hot start and we're fine. It's one game at a time. We don't look too far ahead at all. And maybe I have to, and my coaching staff has to a little bit because of scouting or to know where we're going to be this weekend. But the girls really know they need to just take it one day at a time, one game at a time, and then even broken down further, one quarter and one play at a time when we're in a game.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that hot start, you're coming off a win versus Strongsville on Saturday. What has the focus been in practice to prepare for a tough Brunswick team on the road tomorrow?
Yeah, it was a great win over Strongsville. We have to face a lot of teams twice in our league that are tough, and this is the way it is every year. So I think that was our third conference game, and Brunswick will be our fourth conference game. And it's almost like there's no easy nights in the GCC. But I think buckling down, playing that half-court man defense against Strongsville is something we're going to do a lot tomorrow night as well. But there's other things we're planning on doing in the Brunswick game because it is a different team and there's some different strengths and weaknesses there. But Brunswick has really good shooters. They have some really good individual players. We know them because they're our neighbors. We face them so often, and our girls play on AAU teams with them. So they know us too, but it comes down to who executes better and who competes and makes more plays and things like that. And I think we're ready. I think they'll be ready too, but we feel pretty good about where we are. And we know we just need to come with our game faces on and really play like a team and really have some confidence, because Brunswick's a hard place to play too. It's a unique gym, and it's a battle and a rivalry every year.
What are kind of some early impressions, some thoughts on Journey Hildebrand, their talented guard?
Yeah. Well, she's more than talented. She's a really, really top player. She's very offensive minded, and she's a load to guard because she's 5'11", and she can kind of get to the rim and use her strength, but she's a very dangerous outside shooter as well. So we know all about her, and she's had some great games, and she's had some games that are tougher, but we can't just stop her with one person. It needs to be a group and a team effort, and kind of knowing where she is all the time. The other thing is she can rebound and she can pass, and there's other people on Brunswick who can hit the shots or make the plays too. So it's not just we can focus on Journey and face guard her and be done. It's a lot more involved than that, and they have plenty of other talented shooters and scorers on their team as well.
Absolutely. It should be an excellent matchup at Brunswick High School tomorrow night at 6:30. I'm looking forward to seeing this one in person. Coach, I want to thank you again for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot for having me. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Okay, good night.
Good night.